Global defense has become increasingly complex in recent years, and the U.S. has been working to stay ahead of the curve as competition intensifies. Today, we spoke with Bob Genter, president of SAIC's Defense and Civilian Sector, to discuss what's on the horizon for U.S. technology development, warfighter capabilities, and the broader GovCon market. Bob has been with SAIC for over a decade, and he has led the Defense and Civilian Sector for over 2 years. He's also a 2023 Wash100 Award recipient. If you enjoyed today's video, please like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Also, we would love to hear from you. If you have a question for the leaders of GovCon, please drop a comment below or email studio@executivemosaic.com. Hello, and welcome to Executive Mosaic's video interview series. I'm Summer Myatt, and here to speak with me today is Bob Genter, president of SAIC's Defense and Civilian Sector. Bob, thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy to be here, thanks.
So Bob, to start, I'd like to get your outlook on the current defense landscape. What significant changes or trends are you seeing, and how are those factors moving the GovCon industry?
I'd say the peer, near-peer threats that are out there have reshaped the way that we look at our threats and where we need to make investments. The biggest issue that we face right now is around tech superiority. We need to make sure that we show that the United States is dominant in many of these areas and that we can address any challenge and we can fight at the same weight as anyone else and outclass them. So that's very specifically, it gets into autonomy, next generation weapons, and then data, which doesn't sound like a weapon, but it is, deeply embedded in how we deploy and how we manage threats in the world. And that's where we spend most of our time is kind of paying attention to those three areas.
Yeah, like you said, the peer and near-peer competition is certainly heating up. I'm curious, what do you think is the number one thing we need to be doing or focusing on in the next 3 to 5 years in order to advance our position in that competition and ultimately outpace these competitors?
Yeah, specific weapons and specific information dominance and kind of the high-tech weapons that we've been talking about. So think hypersonics, think autonomy and everything. And then on the space and cyber side of things, it's offense and defense. We've been spending a lot of time in the last couple of years looking at defensive technologies around drones. So counter UAS is a term that we've been using quite a bit. The country's been paying attention to as we start to deal with this pervasive and small scale, but can be used in a way to kind of cause challenges for the military, cause challenge for our country. But how do you defend against those small scale things that are not very expensive, but can be coordinated to cause a lot of challenges relative to information gathering and sometimes even weapons associated with that. So the counter drone technology is a really big deal. And then data, bringing together data to make sure it's being used quickly, it's efficient in how it's processed, that we can decipher what's good information versus bad information. So, the word, data assurance is one of those. That in the past was really making sure that you had clean data to be able to upload or download. Now we need to make sure that we understand what is the most important information and whether or not it's actually factual or if it was planted to give misinformation.
So Bob, on the warfighter side, where are you seeing the most exciting opportunities to deliver better capabilities to our nation's warfighters, and how are you harnessing these opportunities?
So I think, again, that the technology associated with next generation weapons is a big deal. But I'd also say for most of the services firms like SAIC, I think the most important area that we can spend is around, it's two aspects. One is the sustainment of legacy platforms, to make sure we can get as much out of those as possible. So the country can reprioritize money to get into the faster growing and new technology areas. The other area that I think is incredibly important is, again, back to data and cyber, is making sure that we use the information as best we can. And we have the ability to help parse information, pull it in from all different sensors, put it into a way that we can start being more predictive about what needs to be used in a certain situation, and that makes it so it's more effective. The last one I'll say is really around the confluence of IT and mission technology. So the engineering side of the house and the IT side of the house, it used to be a CIO versus a mission commander. Those would be separate activities. With software and analytics, this convergence that is happening now is incredibly exciting for our industry. As we start to bring those tools that used to be used for a back office function and to run an enterprise, those tools now can be used to kind of decipher, use, and make sure that we have the data as well as decisions in the right hands at the speed of the need.
So focusing in on SAIC, what can you tell me about SAIC's growth strategy? Where are you seeing opportunities for expansion within your portfolio, and what new markets or capabilities are you eyeing right now?
Sure. So SAIC has been on a path to be able to acquire different technologies, either by investments on our own or through acquisitions, and be able to put those together into a kind of an ecosystem that we can bring to multiple customers. So I'd say that the two areas, again, back to engineering and the IT side of things, we had a really good base of business at SAIC on the IT side of things, servicing the enterprise. It was primarily on the civilian side of the house. We've made a couple of acquisitions in this area, and it has given us a better access to the DoD customers, giving us a footprint to be able to expand more IT capabilities into DoD. And that's opened up a large market for us to be able to go after that previously we didn't address as well. Now it's something that we are completely capable of, and it's exciting for us to be able to grow into that area. I'd say the opposite side of that is also true, whereas we usually did most of the engineering for our DoD customers, we didn't bridge into the civilian space. So it's traditional cross-selling 101, where we are taking some of the technology that we have and the relationships we have with technology vendors on the engineering side, and we can then bring that to bear to a few of our large-scale civilian customers that have that same need. Think DHS, think NASA, in those areas where they've got hard engineering challenges that we can address for them. We didn't really address those in the past, and taking the DoD skills that we have and bringing it to there has opened up two different sides of the market.
So taking a look at the vast GovCon ecosystem specifically, what are the most significant trends you're seeing in the GovCon market today, and how do you think they will shape the industry going forward?
So the largest challenge that I think the entire industry has, the country has right now, has to do with debt. So the cost of debt, so debt servicing, is going up. The scale of the debt is up. It causes a national security issue that we have to deal with, but it also has a tactical issue that has to be dealt with, and that is that it will consume more and more of the budget. So you can either raise the spending, raise the budgets, or there need to be decisions on how to prioritize that money because the interest expense doesn't go away. So I think what that does is it opens up an opportunity for us to start thinking more and more about doing things efficiently. So in the past, making sure that we delivered a service, making sure that we delivered for the constituents, that was the overall goal. Now we have to do it with a much tighter lens on doing it efficiently and more cheaply from an oversight perspective, and making sure that more and more expense, more and more value, more and more time and effort goes into the actual delivery of the need. So on the DoD side, I would say that goes back to the sustainment side of long-term legacy programs, where if we could squeeze out a little bit more time, you squeeze out a little bit more from those legacy platforms, it allows for us to be able to redeploy that money to taking care of other needs, like going after higher end weapons, like going after paying for other priorities inside the government. On the writ large, but on the civilian side of things, I would say the entitlement side, we want to focus more and more of the delivery of the service as the value, as opposed to the oversight and the administration of the service. So getting as much cost, getting as much labor out of the equation that's overseeing and administering what those service deliveries are for each of those entitlement areas, and spending more time on actually getting value into the constituents and citizens' hands. That must be the focus going forward as we start to deal with leaner budgets going forward.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for your time today and for all the work you do at SAIC.
I appreciate the time. Thanks.